Hi everyone, my name is Morgan Van Stalling and today I'm going to be talking about Australia and the culture, history, society, and how they view leadership. So to start off, here is just some general information about Australia. The country is broke down into 6 states and 2 territories. The national capital is Canberra, as many of you learned in school. Australia is both a country and a continent, and it's the only one in the world. It's also the 6th largest nation following Brazil. Talking about culture, there's no solid culture since it's just made up of people from over 200 countries. Moving on to the history. This is to give you some background information on how Australia became who it is today. So to start it off, in 1770, when Captain James Cook claimed the eastern coast for the Great Britain, by 1829, all of Australia was claimed. Then, on January 1st, 1901, Australia gained its independence from Great Britain and now is a Commonwealth. So jumping forward a few decades, in 1992, Australia and Britain came together to form something called the Mabo Judgment. This claimed that the island of Muir belongs to Australia and not to the Crown. It took over a year to finish up, but the paperwork was finalized in 1993 and they signed a native title bill. Australia is made up of a lot of different people, and to know that, you have to understand the people a little bit better. So the population, as of July 2018, there are 23,470,145 people. This has a gender ratio of about 1.05 males to every 1 female. So there are just a little bit more males than there are females. On the screen, you can see that a lot of the population is made up of 25 through 54-year-olds, with that being 41.35% of the population, followed by the kids' age range, which is about 0 to 14 years old, making up 17.75% of the population. The majority of the ethnic groups are either English at 25.9% and Australians at 25.4%. The rest of the percentages are made up of all different kinds of people, such as Irish, Scottish, Africans, and so on. The next thing you need to know about the people is that most of the religions are either Protestant or Roman Catholic. The most spoken language is English, and the education is about 5.2 GDP, and the unemployment rate is 5.6 as of 2017. Still, Australia is a Commonwealth of Great Britain. It still falls under the parliamentary democracy under a constitutional monarchy. This makes Queen Elizabeth the chief of state, and then falls the prime minister. From then, the cabinet is made, which is nominated by the prime minister, and then the Senate and House of Representatives. There are 3 major political parties: Australian Labor Party, the Liberal Party of Australia, and the Nationals. The current Prime Minister is under the Liberal Party. The national symbol, as you can see in the photo, is a coat of arms. The coat of arms it has a shield with the 6 states and is held up by the country's animals, a kangaroo and emu. The economy in Australia is an open market. This means that they have minimal restrictions on imported goods and services. They are also a major exporter of natural resources, energy, and food. The biggest industries that you will see in Australia are mining, chemicals, and steel and transportation equipment. Like I mentioned earlier, the unemployment rate is very low. The public debt is also very low. On July 1st, 2018, it was $341 billion. The GDP per capita of purchasing power parity is about 50,400. The strength of the currency is every 1 Australian dollar is about 70 cents United States dollar. Some issues that Australia is facing internationally is that Australia and Timor-Leste has a revenue sharing agreement. This is because Australia has marine claims to some of Antarctica. Another issue is between Indonesia and Australia. There are in the process of forming a treaty. The problem between these two has to do with the Ashmore Reef. Due to this, Australia has closed down parts of the reef to stop Indonesian fishing. Australia is also fighting the issue of refugees. In 2017, there has been about 11,000 people from Afghanistan and 8,000 people from Iran. There are also 52 stateless people. The last issue that they are facing is in Tasmania, one of the states. It's the world supplier of illicit products. Moving on to the more cultural aspect of this project, all of the data about to be presented is from Hofstede and his dimension of national cultures. Australia has a score of 36 in power distance. This can be defined as the extent to which the less powerful members of the institution and organizations within a country expect and accept the power is distributed unequally. They are 41st out of 50 countries. For individualism, they are the second highest with a score of 90. Individualism is just how it sounds, how everyone is expected to look after themselves and their family and to be loyal. The next dimension is feminism. This goes to societies in which social gender roles overlap. Australia is 16th out of 50 country with a score of 61. Uncertainty, they are ranked 37th and has a score of 51. This means how safe the members of a culture are and how they feel threatened by uncertain or unknown situation. The picture on the right shows how Australia compares to the United States and the United Kingdom for comparison. The Globe is a research program. They put 60 countries into a country cluster. This is based off cultural similarity, and one of the clusters is right across from is the culture that they are the most different from. For example, Nordic is right across from Eastern European, so that means those two differ the most from each other. So Australia falls under the Anglo cluster. This means that they have more of the charismatic leadership behavior. This means that they are very visionary, inspirational, and appealing. The biggest leadership styles are that they are team-oriented and participative. Compared to the social cluster, which are grouped together, ranked high to low from 6 categories. So within these 6 categories, the first one is performance-oriented, and the cluster is first overall, the clusters, followed by team-oriented, which they are 8th, humane, they are 2nd, and as you can see from the rest, what they fall unto. What leadership means is very similar to the United States. This is based on the fact that they also stem from the United Kingdom and are very similar. Like the United States, leadership to them means the action of leading a group or an organization that can be done through formal or informal role. The national approach of Australia is to identify leadership and culture as an action to promote national activities. They want to improve in the areas of communication and making sure that they have the leaders that are driven. They also want to improve that the collaboration of the organization leaders. And the last thing they want to improve is health and safety in the workplace. What is different than the United States is the term leader often makes people think of the leader of the house. This is a government minister, and he makes sure that the government is running smoothly and oversees that. Just to recap, that the culture and leadership practices are very similar to the United States because they both fall under the same globe cluster. Angelo, and if you compare Australia to the Hofstede rankings to the United States, there are also just a few points from each other always. They are also governed by Great Britain due to the fact that they are a commonwealth, but they are still their own nations. The last thing you should take away from this is Australia is very diverse and they don't have one common culture. They are made up of many different cultures. This is the works cited, so thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I hope you learned a lot about Australia, and the culture and the leadership practices that they have here. Thank you.